heard you talk about music for a long time while we were colleagues at Jindal. But I heard you sing Meera for the first time recently at Bangalore in the International Center performance that you did. How did Meera come to you?
Yeah, so Meera came to me primarily because of my father.
Acha.
I was thrown into music when I was very young and used to go for classes, not go, in fact I used to have a teacher come home. So from the bedroom to the drawing room I would go kicking and screaming because I never wanted to learn music, and when I saw all my friends playing hopscotch outside. But I was asked to learn music because I had an eye condition because of which I was not supposed to be running around and jumping around. So my parents said, kuch to karna chahiye isko. So they put me into music. And over the years, you kind of hate it initially, you get irritated with it, but somehow it kind of grew. And along with regular academic work, I would sing. So my father is the one who said that why don't you listen to these bhajans, apart from learning khayal, which is technically more difficult. He says you can learn this, and that's how I started learning the Meera bhajans. And he said, why don't you listen to her? So yes. So I go back to having learned the exact tunes to say sometime during my college days. But it was later on that I kind of improvised on it.
Right.
Most of those pieces were about 3 minutes. And then because you get into the spirit of Meera, and also because you've been training for a while in music, so you kind of marry the two. And you learn to expand on what you learned.
Right.
And that's what probably you heard. So this improvisation, a lot of it happens in your practice space. It's not right for me to say that everything happens on stage at the moment. It would be a lie. But yes, when I'm in my practice space, I try out various tunes and I see what matches, and sometimes it all comes together. It doesn't happen. There's no method to the madness. There is just a little bit of tangential thinking. So, let's put it that way.
So this is what my basic understanding of Hindustani classical music is that that within that kind of framework of a rag or something, you have some space to intuit, some space to play around.
Yeah.
And can you talk about that?
Okay, so now there's a difference between singing a rag and singing a bhajan.
Right.
What is that difference? The difference is that in a rag you have a set grammar, and you have to improvise within that set grammar. There are certain notes you cannot use in a rag. There are certain notes you have to use in a certain way in that rag. So you have to adhere to that format. So that is pure classical. That is where you sing khayal and you sing drupad. Now when you say you're singing semi-classical, now what is semi-classical is, say, a thumri or a chaiti or a dadra or a bhajan. Now how is it different? The difference is that they'll say this thumri or this bhajan is based on, say, Rag Yaman or Rag Kedar or whatever. But when you can say it's based on that, but you have that latitude and the license to digress from the exact grammar. So you can bring in a bit of Hamir in it, you can bring in a bit of Desh, and you do whatever it is that you feel beautifies the tune.
Right.
So you have that latitude, you have that license to bring in other notes and note phrases from other rags, or maybe just some other
that
notes.
you made up.
Yeah. it is something that you practice. It's not something that happens suddenly. It's not,
Of course.
2-minute Maggi noodles. It doesn't happen like that. You have to practice it. And yeah, but you don't have to stay within a set format, which you have to do if you're singing a khayal in say Rag Bhimpalasi. You know, you have to stay within the structure of that rag. You don't have to stay in that structure if you're singing a bhajan or a thumri.
Right.
Yeah, that's the difference.
Right. And but you sang the Meera bhajans very much through the lens of Hindustani classical music.
Yeah, because my training is in Hindustani classical music, and when I say training, the application of notes is through my training in Hindustani music.
Right.
So I could have sung Meera having learned opera, but that operatic sound of Meera would be very different from my singing in Hindustani with my training in Hindustani. Somebody's training might be in Carnatic, and the way they sing those notes is very Carnatic.
Right.
There is a difference.
There's a difference. Even though they're singing the same notes or the same phrases?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because the way you throw your voice, the way you use gamak. Gamak is what? Gamak is andolan and how you use it. So that varies from discipline to discipline.
Right. Kunjana Bana, can you sing?
कुंजन बन छाड़ी है माधो कहाँ जाओ गुन गाओ माधो कहाँ जाओ गुन गाओ जो मैं होती जल की मछरिया प्रभु करते हो स्नान चरण छू लेती है माधो कहाँ जाओ गुन गाओ माधो कहाँ जाओ गुन गाओ माधो कहाँ जाओ गुन गाओ.
Beautiful. I remember that I asked you the next day for the recording because and you had like a snippet from your WhatsApp, and I played it over and over again. It was so enchanting, and it I mean you sang many things that day, but this remained with me as the most. It was the first opening song.
Yeah, I think it was the first
opening
piece.
song.
Yeah.
So going back to the earlier question, so Meera came to you when you were very young, but I know that you went through a period of research about Meera's devotion, and can you talk a little bit about that process of imbibing Meera? And you asked in the performance, is Meera fact or fiction?
Yeah.
Can you talk about that?
Yeah,
process?
because whatever I've read about Meera, there isn't any concrete historical or anthropological evidence of her existence, excepting the fact that she's from Chittorgarh and she's from, she married into this family, Mewar Marwar connection, and then how as a princess she was, so to say, in love or enchanted by Lord Krishna even before her marriage, and post her marriage she thought that she was married to him, so she doesn't have to follow the tenets of society as a married woman, and not just as a married woman but as royalty. She was royalty, so that brings in more angularities to the whole process. But what really appealed to me was her the fact that she was brave enough, and that she was brave enough to shun everything and lead a totally different life. And how did she do it? Because she probably had this intense belief and devotion in a in the divine, and because of that, and that sort of brings a lot of power and self-belief in you.
Sure.
So, but what is outstanding is that she could sustain it for so long.
Sure.
It is, people go through these in patches, fits and starts, and then they go back to their normal way of life. But she sustained it,
Of course.
and she fought the system. So, in my mind, she's probably one of the best examples of feminism. She lived life on her own terms. So for me, Meera was not just about devotion, but it was also about just doing what you want.
Yeah. And the choice of being undomestic was not available to women
Yeah.
at that time.
Yeah, but like I said that day in the program, what you find in a lot of these women, because there was women saints in other parts of India also, and some of them predate her.
Like Andal.
And actually, the Bhakti movement, if you say so, is from the south. Now, most of them either they fall in love with God at a very young age, then they try and break out of a marriage, and then they say that they are married to God. And some of them have to take recourse to stuff like shedding their clothing also.
Right. Right.
To say that the body is nothing for me. Whether I'm female or male doesn't matter. And this was their way of, making that statement.
Sure.
Many of them had to face a lot of atrocities, including physical abuse, but which we don't know for sure, because it's not easy for men, even for sadhus, to see a woman joining you in your quest for spirituality.
Sure.
So they many times will treat you like this odd one out, and they might joke and make fun of you. But you know the story, right, of how Meera said that she
Disciples of Chaitanya.
Yes. And then they said that we don't meet women. And she said, but who is the man in Vrindavan?
They're all Radhas.
Yeah. So that's
But
when
they will be Radhas, but a common woman cannot be a Radha.
Yeah.
Like the status of Radha is also appropriated by men.
Yes.
Yeah.
So your spiritual quest is also supposed to be male. And so she questioned it. She broke that mold, because even till today people talk about Meera. Now, again, coming back to whether she was fact or fiction, I think she's become fact because of the retelling and telling and retelling of her story.
Sure.
In different versions.
Yeah.
That's what I feel.
Yeah. How do you kind of occupy when you are singing? Do you think of the devotion that goes into making of those songs? Like do you have to occupy the place of a devotee in some sense?
You do. And like in all art forms, you also have to psych yourself into it.
Yeah.
You also have to do a bit of play acting, and because you do it, you get into the space, and once you get into the space, you actually feel it.
Right.
That's the way I look at it.
Right. So let me ask the kind of bolder but candid question. Do you feel Meera?
I don't know if I feel Meera, but I definitely feel when I sing Meera, I see the horizon, I see space, I see a certain freedom which comes through devotion. Not freedom just because you walked out of the house with your bag.
Right.
And because of that, you feel a sense of strength. Because because there is surrender, And because there is surrender, you feel okay, there's somebody who's carrying me through this.
Right, right, of course.
So that is what it is for me.
कुछ गाइए please.
हे गोविंद हे गोपाल कृष्ण है मुरारी हे दयाल नंदलाल पाप ताप हारी हे गोविंद हे गोपाल कृष्ण है मुरारी हे दयाल नंदलाल पाप ताप हारे हो सो भक्त वचल नहीं हूँ नाथ को न को सो हो सो भक्त वचल नहीं हूँ नाथ को न को सो मेरी बेरी इतनी देर श्याम क्यों लगाई मेरी बेरी इतनी देर श्याम क्यों लगाई जन्म जन्म बाट देखूं नाथ मैं तिहारी जन्म जन्म बाट देखूं नाथ मैं तिहारी हे गोविंद हे गोपाल कृष्ण है मुरारी हे दयाल नंदलाल पाप ताप हारी हे दयाल नंदलाल पाप ताप हारी
So let me ask, are there other devotional traditions that you are interested in or that you sing from?
Yeah, I am very, very fascinated by Kabir. Of course, Kabir is the flavor of the times. Kabir is, I don't know
popular.
if I should say sexy at the moment.
That's quite right.
I mean, everybody seems to be doing Kabir. Huh? And that is a, if you're doing Sufi means you do Kabir. You asked me a question about Sufi and Bhakti. So, I think I thought about it, I read about it also. The basic difference is the Hindu and the Muslim tradition. Otherwise, in terms of philosophy, both of them are talking about God as lover. Right? And how you can, it's the Radha Bhav, it's you're talking about how you can reach God and be with God in different ways, but as lover. In both
As an intimate one.
Yes.
Someone who's very intimately
Yes.
yours. Yeah.
Yes. So I would say that is the difference. And also the forms are like in Sufi it's Qawwali which dominates as a form of music. And when they say that there is Sufi jazz, there's Sufi pop, what exactly is it? It's basic. No, it's actually a fact that what is it that they're singing? They're singing the poetry. They're singing the poetry in different forms and genres.
Also.
Yeah. So you can have Sufi pop where you're singing the same poetry, but you're singing it in with guitar and drums and things like that, and which is also fine. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And Then of course there is bhajan.
Huh.
So when people say that it's Sufi music, it's actually Sufi poetry which is being sung in different genres.
Musical
of
genres.
yeah.
Right.
Of music, yeah.
Any Kabir that you like to sing?
Man lago man lago man lago man lago yaar. Should we start? You already started?
She's shooting.
Man lago yaar fakir. My bindis come off and the Tanpura is shut down.
There's the power of your song, your voice. And maybe rains are yet to come, but they're on their way.
मन लागो यार फकीरी में 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 जो सुख पाऊं नाम भजन में जो सुख पाऊं नाम भजन में सो सुख नाही अमीरी में मन लागो यार फकीरी में मन लागो यार फकीरी में.
So, as people who are cultivators of the arts, there are various poets and philosophers who have said that God has to descend upon you for art to happen. So do musicians have to be, by dint of that, believers? Or not maybe in a technical sense, but in some sense.
I think the muse has to sit on you when you create. It doesn't happen. And when I say create, I'm not saying on stage. You create. You can be creating in your bathroom also.
Sure.
So it has to sit on you, and that comes with grace.
Yeah.
It doesn't come easily. You can't say, okay, I'll be sitting from 3 to 4 and I'll finish this. It doesn't happen like that.
Sure.
So it just might not happen, and suddenly it might happen in 5 minutes.
Sure.
While you're
But
walking
3 to
the
4 will
streets.
still sit. Right?
That's a good question. You will sit because that's what you plan. But I'm also very disorganized in my practice. But yeah, and I've also noticed that much, I have to say, that when I spend more time with music, I am more creative.
Right.
I have to admit that. It's not as if, I've been going to Jindal and talking to students, and
When you're distracted by the world.
Yeah. When you're too distracted by the world, it doesn't happen to me. It might happen to other people, but it doesn't happen to me. You have to be in that space.
Yeah.
And when you are in that space, there are times when you might get frustrated also.
Of course.
Because you are leaving out so many other things. You might have wanted to go to have coffee with somebody, but you told your friend that no, I need to work this out.
Yeah.
And you decided to be home, but it's not happening.
Right. So it's a lose-lose situation.
Yeah.
You lost out on your coffee. Great.
Yeah. So as a result, what happens is, your musical ability and creativity also, you can never predict how fruitful it will be.
There are no
say, in this
guarantees.
There are no guarantees.
Yeah.
And having said that, yes, I will definitely say that the more you practice, the luckier you get.
Of course. All the ustads.
But I think that goes for most
Most
art.
of the arts. Yeah.
Or even
All
for
the
for any kind of effort.
Sure.
I think
cooking. Whatever.
No, even for say your research, even for
Sure,
you, the harder you try, the luckier you get, and I do believe that.
Right.
It's just that
But
whether
that moment where you feel you are touched by grace, can you say a little bit about that moment? I know it's difficult to articulate.
yeah, it's a eureka moment, and it's a wow moment, because you really can't share it with anybody at that time when it hits you, because you know how it will connect to the next thing. It's like a light bulb going off, and you feel, oh wow, I could do this. But when you're touched by grace, you feel that, how did I get this? How did it happen? How did it occur to me? That occurrence is also something that doesn't, you can't premeditate it, and you can't arrange it. It happens. And then you have to be dogged enough to pursue it.
Right.
And unless you pursue it, how will you link it with the rest of your musical phrases?
Sure.
I'm talking about purely music
Sure,
now.
of course.
I'm not talking about literature or the poetry. I'm just talking about music. Because you need to be able to see, the thing about music is you have to be able to take the poetry and make and color it.
Sure. Yeah.
And how vibrant you make it or how expressive you make it is your artistic sensibility. So that is what I feel.
So before we end, kuch gaiye please. Anything.
क्या गाऊं?
Anything.
I really can't think of something good. मैं हरि चरणन की दासी, मैं हरि चरणन की दासी, मलिन विषय रस त्यागी जग के, मलिन विषय रस त्यागी जग के, मलिन विषय रस त्यागी जग के, राम नाम रस प्यासी, जन्म जन्म की दासी.